Avatar fans, Christmas just came a little bit early. And yes, I'm talking about Avatar The Last Airbender. Sorry, James Cameron fans. But today we're diving into a brand new article that talks a little bit about this series, things we didn't know, some encouraging news, and a brand new first look image that we're about to dissect. So let's get into it. What's going on, you guys? James here with some real news, and yes, today we're getting a brand new first look at the live-action Avatar The Last Airbender series on Netflix, and let me tell you, my hype levels are already high. They're getting higher. Now, this report that we're about to dive into comes from Entertainment Weekly, and the article title is Avatar The Last Airbender Showrunner Opens Up About Making Series Without Original Creators, and it's by Nick Romano. And trust me, we needed something new after Netflix's Geeked Week to really start ramping up again the excitement for this live action series, which debuts February 22nd, 2024. And guys, we are going to cover it right here on the channel. So before we go any further, if you haven't already, hit the big red button below, subscribe to the channel, and join the real family. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm thanking everybody right now because the end of the year goal for the channel was 20,000 subscribers, and we're finally there. All glory to God. I should probably make a separate video just thanking you guys again. But seriously, I'm really appreciative of all your support. And you know what? Let's hit 30,000 and beyond for 2024. And hey, if you haven't already, get loud down below in the comments and let me know what you think of this article and the first look image. I want to know your excitement levels. Are you at a 10 or are you at an 11? We don't accept 5s or lower. I'm sorry. Alrighty, you guys, so let's waste no more time and get right into the article, and then we'll end the video with dissecting the first look image. This is an interview from Entertainment Weekly, like I mentioned, with showrunner Albert Kim. Now, Albert Kim is running the show, literally, for the live action series. So he's not the original creator, but the original creators and him, they have worked together. Okay, let me not put the horse in front of the carriage. Let's go down the article and I'll point out some things that stood out to me. So Albert Kim, of course, throughout most of this article, spoke about the importance of delivering this series for a brand new generation. Now, as you know, my first time watching Avatar The Last Airbender was maybe a couple of years ago now, and it was during the height of the pandemic, and it's a legendary series, and I'm so glad that it can transcend generations. Albert Kim's responsibility, though, is to bring this successfully into the live action format for the very first time. Because as you know, M. Night Shyamalan, a director who has a lot of hits and a lot of misses, I guess, this was one of his biggest misses yet, if not his most egregious error in my eyes. He didn't do a good job, and for a while, I'm guessing Nickelodeon and other studios were nervous about bringing this into live action. But so far, we've gotten a great teaser trailer, and we've gotten some amazing posters and first look images, including the one we got today. And while the cast and crew is shaping up very nicely for this live action series, he's not alone. Albert Kim actually had some help at the beginning stages of creating the live action series. Showrunners of the original Avatar The Last Airbender series, Bryan Konietzko and Michael Dante DiMartino, apparently had a bit of involvement, more than we thought, in this live action adaptation. Even though both of those original showrunners left the project citing creative differences, apparently they didn't have enough creative control that they wanted, and Netflix wasn't willing to give up a lot for them, and they thought, okay, well, this isn't for us. We've been burned in the past. And listen, I can't blame them, especially now that they're going and kind of laying out the runway for new animated Avatar The Last Airbender projects with Paramount. So there's a lot to be happy for in both mediums, right? But sticking to the live action medium, man, the creators actually did Albert Kim a solid before they left. Now, according to the article, and I quote, Konietzko and DiMartino's presence isn't completely absent from the live-action series. Traces of them still exist. Albert Kim sat down with the duo in the early days before their departure to pick their brains. He recalls, it ran the range of really nerdy little things that no one except for die-hard fans might wonder about. Questions about Katara's mom or Aang's parentage, to bigger picture stuff about how to translate what made the original so special into a live action version. At the same time, he stresses, this is Avatar The Last Airbender, but it is our version of Avatar The Last Airbender. So right off the bat, this is very encouraging news for diehard fans like myself. Guys, we need this live action adaptation to be its own thing. It's bound to happen, right? Look at One Piece. I'm sure things differed from the original anime series and the manga maybe. But when it comes to Avatar: The Last Airbender, it's the little things that are really going to make diehard fans gravitate towards this. So having Michael Dante DiMartino and Brian Konietzko, their insight into all of this is probably very helpful for Albert Kim, all of the producers, and everyone involved. So this is good news. You know, originally we just thought they left and they said, deuces, we're gone, we're leaving you cold, and we're gonna forget about this entirely. No, instead it seems like they sat down with Albert Kim and said, you know what, here, you should include this, why not this? And you know, it really just adds flavor and nuance to this live action adaptation. At least that's what we're expecting now that we read this quote. We haven't seen anything yet, I haven't watched anything yet, so when we get the final product, I'll be keeping my eyes open for some Easter eggs. But we didn't only get news about the original showrunners and their involvement in the series, we also got some details in this article about the structure of Season 1 and just how true it'll be to the original material. And I actually really like Albert Kim's response here because it does set a certain expectation in fans' minds, new in fans that are returning. Because listen, it's not going to be a carbon copy, it's not going to be a one-for-one shot adaptation. If that was the case, I think it might be too on the nose. So I do like what he says here. So let's get into this quote. The live action Avatar will instead begin to adapt the main events with an 8-episode hour-long drama format for the initial run. As such, Kim explains some events will have a strict one-to-one adaptation while others will be remixed. See, that's cool for me because if done properly, it'll add something different, and that's what we want from this live action adaptation. If it were just the original series over again, a carbon copy, why wouldn't we just go back and binge watch the original series, which I'm kind of doing now? But still, we need this to be different. It's an adaptation, and I'm okay with live action adaptations being a little bit more gratuitous in their creative differences. Now, listen, if they get too different and it doesn't work, that could be a bad thing. Or if it just doesn't land, like unfortunately Cowboy Bebop, we don't want that, right? But One Piece gave me hope that this live action adaptation will hit the mark. But that's not all Albert Kim added. He says, and I quote, "We don't start the show the way the animated series starts. That was a conscious decision to show people this is not the animated series. We had to sometimes unravel storylines and remix them in a new way to make sense for a serialized drama. So I'm very curious to see what'll happen in terms of reaction to that." Oh, now we're cooking with something, guys. You know, we needed a little bit more, and he delivered. So thanks, Albert Kim, for talking more about what we could expect in terms of the chronology of Season 1. As you know, in the original series, the boy was in the iceberg, right? Katara and Sokka come upon Aang, frozen, but then coming back to life with him and Appa, and it was a cool moment, I'm not gonna lie, and we learned a lot very quickly. However, because it's now an 8-episode Season 1, and it's an hour long, it's not the worst thing in the world, but they're gonna have to either go through some things quickly or linger on other moments to make this feel very impactful. Now, it not starting just like the original series started isn't bad, and I hope you guys aren't thinking the world is stopping and the sky is falling, because I got a couple thoughts on how they could start Season 1. Maybe there will be a flash forward moment where we see stuff happening in present day and then they flash back to unveil how they got to that point in the story, almost as a tease of what's to come and what you don't know will happen yet, unless you're of course a big fan of the original series. And then maybe, this is my second theory, maybe they get a little creative and open with Prince Zuko as a child and seeing him getting the scar that we know is so iconic for his character. Listen, there's gonna be a lot of daddy drama if they go down that route. You know, Daniel Day Kim, I don't know, and Dallas Liu, they're probably gonna square off, and you know what happens next. But if they do that, if that theory comes true, I love that, and I think that they probably should, because Zuko became a character beloved by fans, and also a character that I'd argue has the most layers of any character in the original series. So establishing him as this 1B to Aang's 1A as a main character, It's a pretty good idea. Alrighty, let me stop patting myself on the back. But guys, we gotta get into this first look image. Now, there was only one new image attached to this article, and I did go to the Netflix Media Center to see if there was anything new, and there wasn't. So let's get into this photo. It features three of our favorite characters, of course. Our trio, Aang, Katara, and Sokka. Aang being played by Gordon Cormier, Katara being played by Kiawentiio, and Sokka being played by Ian Ousley. As you can see, they're in a forest setting, so where exactly are they? If I knew, I'd tell you. I didn't put an Apple AirTag on Appa, sorry. But, guys, it's a forest setting. What's the first thing that comes to your mind when you think forest in season 1 of Avatar? I'll give you a little bit of time. Okay, time's up. I do think that it's very likely this is the episode where Aang and the gang runs into Jet and his freedom fighters. And why do I think that? Well, it's because Jet has already been cast in this series. According to Avatar News, Sebastian Amoruso has been cast as Jet, and he does look the part, and I'm also excited to see how they adapt Jet in live action. And I'm excited to see all the rest of the freedom fighters too. Now, is that going to be what exactly happens? Am I putting my hat on that? Not really, because it's possible, again, that they remix things according to what Albert Kim has said in the article. But I'm going to say that's my strongest theory right now, is that this is an excerpt from an episode in which they are in the forest that is not controlled by, but at least run largely by the freedom fighters led by Jet. Now that would be really cool, and I can see it happening. I would be very surprised, of course, if we don't get Jet at all, but that's not happening, guys. It's gotta happen, right? At least they got 8 episodes. They got 8 hours. There's time. But y'all, there you have it. That's literally all of the news that we got. It's another update, and it's an exciting one because any update right now is very exciting as we get closer to February 22nd, 2024, which is, again, the series premiere date for the live-action Avatar: The Last Airbender series on Netflix. Now, I need you guys to let me know down below in the comments, as I look at this picture again, am I wrong? You let me know if you think this first look has something to do with something entirely different than Jet and his freedom fighters, and let me know what you think about what we just talked about in the article, because, yeah, there were some really good, interesting bits of news there, and I love some of those quotes, and it seems like Albert Kim and the rest of the cast and crew are definitely putting in the elbow grease to make this special. So I'm excited. I have no idea what's next. Guys, I mean, listen, Paul Sun-Hyung Lee was just recently in LA and tagged the Avatar Netflix account on Instagram, so maybe there is another first look coming. Or, guys, maybe we're getting a trailer number 2. Oh man, can you imagine another trailer before the end of the year? That would be wild. I don't know if they do that, but we'll see. Maybe they kick off the new year with it. And if they do, you know we're covering it here on the channel, so go ahead and get subscribed down below. Tap on that bell, y'all, and hit the thumbs up button again if you enjoyed this breakdown. Alrighty, y'all, well, I'm gonna go and continue my rewatch. I'm on season 2, don't judge. Alright, I'm on winter break, so I got time now. Alrighty, y'all, again, thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you at the next screening.